Here we go. ALTA pushed out an update. For those of you that are using the new version 3.3.9, you may have noticed that all of your AutoCorrects are gone. So we're going to talk our way through that. There's been a couple of problems with it. There's also a couple of really great things that have happened out of this push. So we'll just work our way through all of that. What we're doing here is we've got another test patient pulled up, and we're just looking at regular test patient. We're going to go into the A&P, and we're going to jump right into a text box, and we'll get started on this tutorial. So first thing I want to say is this now works in any text box. Before, AutoCorrects didn't work in an add note, and now they work in an add note, SO, AP, that little box at the end when you go to sign your note. They work in all those spots, so that's really great. That's a good update. We're also going to look at the difference between spell check and AutoExpand. We'll get to that, and we'll talk our way through. So if we do this, what I just did there was in a text box, I right-clicked, went to spell check options. And what we're going to see, the first thing we notice is this looks a little bit different, right? So there's two tabs. There's spell check and there's AutoExpand. So the ALTA update came from Falls Church, came from DHA, and what they realized was that we were using spell check, we used to call that AutoCorrect, to take a misspelled word, just a short line of text here, and replace it with an entire note. So they recognized that it was being used that way, and it was efficient, and they designed another module, this tab here, and called it AutoExpand. And it's designed to do the same thing, to take a short line of text, replace it with a long note, and then it'll act like your AutoCorrects. When you hit space, you'll get a large line of text. However, they didn't let us keep our AutoCorrects. And the reason for that is because they've moved. It used to be that AutoCorrects were on the computer, and now they belong to your ALTA account. It's a bad thing because you're going to have to replace however many AutoCorrects you had. Some people had, 5, some people had 100 or 200. So you have to re-enter those in AutoExpand one by one. You can see that I've put in a few here, and we'll show you how to put in some more. So that's the bad news, is you got to re-enter all that. The good news is it is now part of your ALTA account, just like your favorites were over in Tools. And so it'll follow you if you go to a different computer, if you move to another base, as long as it's that ALTA account, it should follow you. Some people have said that they've had trouble with putting them in and having them stay there. They go to log back in and they're gone again. They're not sticking. So we're going to talk our way through that. But first of all, for those of you that haven't seen the other AutoCorrects video, let's just talk our way through some of these AutoCorrects. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some examples. We're just going to we're going to put a few in, and we'll show you how this works. So we're going to grab this one. So what I'm highlighting here is my ophthalmology note. If I see a patient and it's for an eye complaint, I like to write my ophtho findings kind of in ophtho style. And so my key phrase is going to be ophtho note, all one word. And anytime that I type that now in a text box, it will get replaced with this short paragraph here. So I'm going to hit add, and now it's there. Now I want to add another one. So I'm going to click in this little blank area, and we'll drag this back over so that you can see what I'm doing. Normally I would keep that on a separate screen. We're going to copy shoulder exam, paste that in there. Shoulder exam is going to be my key phrase, and that will give me this paragraph here. So I'll use that anytime that I see a patient and I do a shoulder exam. Then I'll just change what's positive or negative depending on that patient. All right, I'm copying in a knee exam. Call that knee exam. We'll add it. Now here's something I really want you to pay attention to. I've added these now, and if I hit OK, this is just going to let me close. It's not going to prompt me to save it. It's just going to close. Now, as you're working in ALTA, there are some refresh cycles where things get uploaded to your account, but we don't know when exactly those happen. And so we'd like to know that they saved, because you could enter 50 of these and come in the morning. And, I did that. When this first pushed down, I reloaded all of my autocorrects, and it was over 100. And I came in the next morning and only 8 of them were there. So they didn't stick, and that's frustrating. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back in here, and I'm going to show you the right way to exit this screen. If you deselect this little box that says Enable AutoExpand, and then you reselect it, now when I hit OK, it's going to prompt me to save. So this time I'm going to save it on my way out. And now it'll become part of my profile. Now it's part of my AHLTA account. And so if I move to another computer, then anytime I type in one of these key phrases, when I hit space, it replaces it with the entire thing. So let's just go through and let's look at a couple other AutoCorrects that you might like to see. We just want to show you the benefit of it, right? So we're going to go to here to a blank spot, and I'm going to call this steroid taper. I don't do steroid tapers a whole lot, but when I do, I don't feel like typing out that entire sig. So now, check, hit OK, yes. So now what's going to happen is if I want to put in a steroid taper signature, I can just type steroid taper. I can copy this, and in the meds I can put in, I can choose my med, and then I can copy that into the signature. So that's a nice little way that you can use AutoCorrects. Let's take a look at another one that would be kind of helpful maybe. So we're going to do ankle sprain. So we're going to go here, and I'm going to put in my note. You'll see the rest of it in a second. Click, hit OK, yes. And we're going to do ankle sprain, all one word. And here's the note that I get. So I get the S, I reviewed what the technician said. They explained the story. The patient was on a basketball court, twisted their ankle. There was some swelling afterwards. So I'm just going to put in the age, ankle inversion injury as above, and then I'm just going to change positives to negatives or negatives to positives, depending on what the story is. And I've got my ankle exam in there. Again, I'll change what needs to be changed, and then I've got my entire note. So let's take a look at another one. And I'm just kind of taking advantage of this time, and I'm actually loading some of these AutoCorrects that I have to reload anyway. So I'm going to call this one #DEQ for de Quervain's tendonitis. I'm going to save that. And so I'll show you this, because this happens, right, where your technician comes in and describes what the patient is feeling, and what the onset was, and whether or not there was an injury, and where it hurts, and what kinds of activities cause discomfort. And maybe you have a good idea of what you're going to see. You go in, you do some special testing, and it turns out that it's de Quervain's tendonitis. So if I just type that, then I get my entire note. And we'll just look at it here, and I'll make sure that this is true for this patient. Focused review of systems, and I've got a focused exam with my positive findings, a diagnosis, and then my plan going out from there. So that's kind of the value of using the AutoExpand feature. And by doing that, you can save anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes of charting per note. And so you can imagine at the end of the day, it's possible to save two hours in your charting, and maybe actually get home either on time or some reasonable, at least close to on time, as close as we can get in primary care, right? Okay, so that is what you need to know. Remember, the highlights were in AutoExpand is where you're going to enter it. You want to uncheck, recheck, enable AutoExpand. That will prompt you to save your new entry before you exit. And then when you close it all down, it should be there on another computer when you check it out. So hopefully that is helpful. And that's kind of the little updates with 3.3.9, how we can move forward from there.